supposed to have some characteristics of traits that help you to become a leader. Then from there, we are moving on to the behavioral approach. From the trait approach, we are moving on to the behavioral approach. And this approach is talking about the inability uh, to find the answers to their question. What determines leadership? In the trait approach led researchers to look at the behavior that specific leaders exhibit. So prominent in the behavioral approach is the assumption that leaders are not born but can be trained. So it's different from the trait approach, and this approach is of the view that leaders are not born but can be trained. So it means that if you are not born to be a leader, you can be trained to become a leader. And under the behavioral approach, researchers have studied leadership behavior from 3 points of view. So we have the motivation, we have the authority, and we have the supervision. That's under the behavioral approach. So we are looking at the first one, which is the motivation. So from the point of view of motivation, leadership behavior can be either positive or negative. So when it comes to the behavioral approach under the motivation, it is of the view that leadership behavior can be either positive or negative. So, in a positive behavior, the leader's emphasis is on rewards to motivate the subordinate. So, this uh, is on rewards. So, if a follower or a subordinate uh, do something that the leader is supposed to reward him or her, it's talking about the motivation is talking about that. And in negative behavior, the leader emphasis is on penalties and punishment. So we have rewards and we have penalties and punishment, which is under the negative behavior, and the rewards, which is under the positive behavior. Then we also have the second one, which is the authority. So from the point of view of authority, leadership style can be autocratic leadership, democratic leadership, and the think we have autocratic leadership, democratic, and a free reign. So autocratic leadership, this is a type of leadership. Uh, the leader alone determines policies and make plans. He tells others what to do and how to do it. He demands strict obedience and relies on power. So with the autocratic leadership, the leader make his or her decisions without involving his or her subordinate. Then democratic leadership, in this type of leadership, also known as participative or person-oriented leadership, the entire group is involved in and accepts responsibility for goal setting and achievement. So with the democratic leadership, uh, followers or subordinates are involved in decision making, or their decisions are taken into consideration. Then we have the free reign. In this type of leadership, also called laissez-faire leadership, the leader exercises no control. He only provides information, materials, and facilitate to his followers to enable them to accomplish group objectives. Then we have the merit of the autocratic leadership. The first one is saying that this type of leadership can increase efficiency, save time, and get quick results, especially in a crisis of an emergency. So with this, it is because the leader is not supposed to uh, decide whatever that he's going to do. He's not going to decide it with anybody. So decision making is very fast, and it also saves time as well. The second point is the paternalistic form of this type of leadership works well with employees who have a low tolerance of ambiguity, feel, feel insecure with freedom and even minor decision making requirements, and thrive under clear, detailed, and achievable directives. And the third one is saying change of command and division of work. Who is supposed to do what are clear and fully understood by all. So it means that there's a clear and fully chain of command. Everybody knows what he or she is supposed to do in the organization. Then we have the demerit of autocratic leadership. The apparent of efficiency of one-way communication often becomes a false efficiency. So always there's a one-way communication. That's from the top to the down. Then the autocratic leader is alone in his decision making. He or she does not involve anybody in decision making. People express their resentment and authoritarian rule in the form of massive resistance, low morale, and low productivity. Because he or she does not involve his subordinate in decision making, sometimes they must resist on some of the things that or some of the decisions that he or she takes, and at the end of the day it can cause low morale and low productivity. Then we have the then we are looking at the so we are moving on to the democratic leadership. The merit of democratic leadership. When people participate in and help formulate a decision, they support it instead of fighting or ignoring it and work hard to make it work. So, because you involve them in decision making or in the formulation of the decision, they support it instead of them fighting against whatever decision taken. So the leader consistently receives the benefit of the best information, ideas, suggestions, and talent and experience of his people. This style of leadership permits and encourages people to develop, grow, and rise in the organization because you are able to involve them, you are able to delegate uh, them, they are able to develop and grow in the organization. Then we have the demerit of democratic leadership. The participative style can take enormous amount of time and may degenerate into a complete loss of the leader's control because you always need to involve them in decision making. It sometimes takes a lot of time and it can lead to the loss of the leader's control. Subordinate may show greater absenteeism and tardiness. Some leaders may use this style as a way of avoiding responsibility. Then the third one under the behavioral approach is the supervision. So from the point of view of supervision, leadership style can be either employee oriented or production oriented. So when it comes to the supervision, we're talking about a leadership style being employee oriented or production oriented. When it's an employee oriented, it means that leader care more for the welfare of its subordinate than for production. So with the employee oriented, the leader is more concerned subordinate than the production in the business. A production oriented leader cares more for production than for the welfare of his subordinates. So the production oriented is more concerned of production than the welfare of his subordinate. Then the two important studies under this category are the Ohio State University study and the management grade. So we have some agreed here. When we look at the slides, it is there. So the with the managerial grade, Robert Glick and Jane Mountain, experimental psychologists at the University of Texas, use a chart called the managerial grade to describe five types of managerial styles. So the managerial grade talks about five styles of managerial styles. So they make use of the term concern for production, concern for people. So with the five managerial styles, we have the tax management or authority compliance management. This talk this talk about here the management shows maximum consent for production, at least consent for people. Therefore, it is also called the authority obedience approach. Then we have the country club management. This is the reverse of tax management. Here, the management shows maximum consent for people and least consent for production. It is the love conquers all approach. Then we also have the impoverished management. Here, the management shows the least consent both for production as well as people. It is the speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil approach. So that's for the impoverished management. Then we have the team management. Here, the management shows maximum concern both for production as well as people. The assumption is one plus one can add up to three. So the last one we have the dumping pendulum or the middle of road style. Here, the management shows a balanced concern for production and people get results, but do not kill yourself. So these are the five uh, types of managerial styles when it comes to the managerial grade. Then we also have the contingency approach to leadership. So the contingency approach to leadership uh, views the leader as a product of the times and its situation. So it attempts to identify which of the situational factors are most important under the given set of circumstances and predict which leadership style will be most effective under those circumstances. So the contingency approach is talking about leader as a product of the times and the situation. So it's talking about as a leader, it depends on the situation that the person find him or herself. From that situation, the person might come out as a leader. So with this important among contingency leadership models are the so there are some models under the contingency leadership approach. So we have the first one, which is the Fielder's model, the Halsey and Blanchard's model. Then we have the Robert J. House model. So with the Fielder's model, this model postulates that effectiveness of leadership style depend on situational favorableness. So with this, we have the situational favorableness according to Felder depend on three factors. So we have the leader-member relation, which is good. We have the tax structure, which is structured, and we have the position of power, which is high. Then with more detailed explanation on the Felder's model, Felder has found that the tax-oriented or the authoritarian leader is most effective in extreme situation, both when the situation is very favorable and very unfavorable. So when it comes to some extreme situation, the authoritarian leader is most effective, both when the situation is very favorable and very unfavorable. So it depends whether the situation is favorable or non-favorable. But when the situations are more greatly favorable and unfavorable, the best leadership style is employee or relationship oriented. So from there we move on to the Blanchard's model. So he also came out with four phases. So the first phase in the is the called the uh, initial phase. So when subordinates first enter the organization, they need to be instructed in their jobs, organization's rule and procedure. At this stage, a high tax orientation by the manager is most appropriate because low tax orientation will cause anxiety and confusion among the subordinates. So this is the initial phase when it comes to the franchise model. So as subordinates mature, and as the manager trust in them increase, he can become high in a relationship through there's still the need for him to be high in a tax. So that's for the second phase. Then when it comes to the third phase, the subordinates are expected to grow so much in maturity that the manager need no longer be high in tax, though he can continue to be supportive and considerate, strengthen subordinates, resolve for greater responsibility. So that's for the third phase. Then the last one, the last phase, the subordinate become highly mature, motivated, and self-directing. The manager can reduce his concern both for the task and the relationship. So these are the four phases for the Brancards model. Then we have Robert J. House model. And according to him, there are four types of leadership behavior. According to Robert J. Howe, there are four types of leadership behavior. The first one is the directive leader. So, with the directive leader, he lets subordinates know what is expected of them, give them specific guidance on what should be done and how it should be done, schedules the work to be done, maintains definite standard of performance, and asks people to follow definite rules and organization. So that's for the directive leader. So from there we have the supportive leader, and is appreciable and knows consent for the status and well-being of his subordinates. So that's for the supportive leader. He shows consent for the status and well-being or the affairs of his subordinates. Then we have the achievement-oriented leader. He sets challenging goals, has confidence in his subordinates, and emphasizes excellence. Then we also have the participative leader that takes decision after consultation with his subordinates. The decisions of his or her subordinates are taken into consideration. So with Robert J. House model, we have four types of leadership behavior: the directive one, the supportive leader, the achievement-oriented leader, and the participative leader. Then from there, we move on to situational factors determine choice of leadership style. The first one is factors in the managers himself. So one of the things that serve as a factor when it comes to the choice of leadership style. The first point that we are looking at is the factors in the managers himself. So the nature of the manager himself, that's his attitude, his values, knowledge and skills, experience and maturity influence his feelings, assumptions, perceptions, and behavior. So that's the factors in the manager himself. So we're talking about the, the feelings of the leader, the assumptions, his or her perceptions, and the behavior of the leader. Then the second point is talking about factors in his subordinates. So there may be certain factors in the subordinates. With this, we can talk about experience, ability, and training that may work as substitutes for leadership and make leader behavior unnecessary and redundant. So that's for the second point, which is the factors in his subordinates. Then the factors in the general situation. And this is important factors in the general situation which have a bearing on the manager's choice of his leadership style. So the leadership style of the manager's supervision, job demands, and the pressure of time. So uh, general situation can also serve as a factor for the choice of a leadership style. Then the fourth one or the last point, factors in the organizational system. And with this, we are talking about the division of work, and you also have it to be physical proximity. We have organization structure, whether it is store or flats, and we also have production technology, whether it is unit or job order. We have participative process manufacture, participative. Then we have the mass production authoritarian. So with the situational factors determine the choice of leadership style, we have four of these factors. Factors in the manager himself, factors in his subordinates, factors in the general situation, and we have the factors in the organizational system. Then from there, we move on to new approaches to leadership. New approaches to leadership. So with this, we are talking about the two. We are talking about two approaches to leadership. We have the charismatic approach, and we have the transformational approach as new approaches to leadership. So when we look at the first one, which is charismatic approach, it's a throwback to the old trait approach. We already have a fair idea on the trait approach. It defines a leader in terms of certain personality traits and skills, which enable him to exercise profound and extraordinary effect on his followers so that they identify with the organization, its standards of conduct, and seek to fulfill its purpose. So, with this approach, it's talking about certain personality traits and skills which enable the leader to exercise profound and also have positive influence on his or her followers so that they can identify with the organization the goals that they are supposed to achieve, the objectives, and things that have positive influence on the organization. And with the transformational approach, it defines a leader as one who lead his organizational through successful transformation by shifting the values, beliefs, and needs of his followers. So he makes necessary policy changes in the recruitment, selection, promotion, training, and development, and he or she provide them high expectations, vision, and sense of mission. He also instill pride and trust, promote intelligence and careful problem solving, and give personal attention and coaching. So with the transformational approach, the leader shifts most of his focus on the need of his followers so that at the end of the day, if he's supposed to delegate duties to his or her followers, he or she know that they will be able to perform whatever activity that they are supposed to perform because he or she knows that at the end of the day, he gives them the chance for them to, or he or she involve them in decision making. So at the end of the day, he is of the view that he or she is transforming his followers. He or she is transforming his followers. So whatever tasks that he gives to them, they will be able to perform. So, on the new approach to leadership, we have the charismatic approach and we have the transformational approach. Thank you. This is the end of the thing on leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Corbina. Please, any questions?
Questions, additions, or subtractions. But where I think, Mr. Kobna, we should add to it just a correction
Okay.
so that let's correct our lesson where we said the leadership, the types of leaderships, the laissez-faire. You made
Yeah.
mention that he doesn't supervise, but he does, but a minimal supervision. So let's
Okay.
correct that.
Okay.
He does supervise, but in a minimal way.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, any other addition or questions? Then now I think we can move to the next group. Which group is ready to present Sister Rita?
Yes.
Yes, please. We are waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Group 5. Our topic is managing change. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Continue.
Our topic is managing change. And as a business, as an organization, since we are in a society, we are in a dynamic world which moves rapidly. Every day we see things, every day changes happening everywhere. There is the need for an organization to also change in order to cope with the other existing organization, in order to move along. You see, there's a saying that if all human beings are turning into animals, you have to also turn so that they don't all turn and eat you up. There's a sign you have to also change. So that brings about a management change. So our learning objective, we are going to be looking at factors that affect organizational change, types of organizational changes, how managers oversee planned changes, and then steps managers may take to implement changes. So the introduction, this is a time for unprecedented change in our society. As I've said earlier on, that there is a need to change as organization day in and day out. If an organization wants to survive and prosper, its managers must continually innovate and adapt new situations. Yes, so in order to be operational in the system for long, there is the need to adapt new situations. There's a need to change in order to be in operational for long. So when we say organizational change, it is the transformation in an organization's environment, structure, technology, or people. The transformation in an organization's environment, structure, technology, or people. So that's organizational change. So when there is transformation in an organization's environment, when there is transformation in its structure, technology, and people, that's organizational change. Now we have causes of organizational change. We have both the external and the internal environment. Now, the external environment is affected by the political, social, technological, and economic stimuli outside the organization that causes change. That's politics, government policies, laws, regulations, and political stability. That's when we talk of the political causes of organizational change. Changes in labor laws. I'm still on explaining the political change, how the political can cause organization to change. Changes in labor laws and also taxation and minimum wage trade policies may force organization to adjust their structure and policies and strategies. For example, when there's new government regulations requiring organization to change operational procedures, this may affect the organization. It will also cause the organization to change its operational procedures. And also the social environment can also cause organizational change. That's population trends, values of society, lifestyles, and the workforce diversity, changes in consumer preferences, employees' expectations, and the changes in leadership style. They can all affect or cause a change in an organization. And then technology. Technology as also an external environment can also cause management change in an organization. That's innovation, digitalization, and nowadays everything we are moving to the digital world. Everything you need to digitize and the new production methods. So there's the need to also change. That's you can train your employees to adjust to the digital world. You have to invest in new systems. So all these factors brings about change in management and organization. And the economic environment, the economic too. The economy can cause management change. That's the inflation, interest rates, unemployment, economic growth. They can all what affect management change in an organization. And then internally, the internal environment is affected by the organization's management policies and styles, systems and procedures, as well as employees' attitude. That's the internal environment as factors that affect or causes management change. We talk about management policies and styles, systems and procedures, as well as employees' attitude. Yeah, changes in management policies, the leadership styles lead to organization change. New leaders may I'm talking about the leadership styles. New leaders may introduce new strategies, goals, or management approaches to improve performance or solve existing problems. Remember, there's a saying that new king, new laws. So when there's new leaders, they may also try to modify or introduce new approaches. So that's we're causing a management change. And employee motivation, the morale skills of employees and resistance to change strongly influence on organizational change. How productivity, high labor turnover, or conflict among staff may force management to introduce changes such as training, incentive, uh, motivating the employees in order to cope with the changes in the environment or in the workforce. And also systems. The system as internal cause of management change. You see, sometimes some of the systems are outdated. They are so rigid, very rigid procedure, and it can limit organization performance. So management may introduce new processes, revise procedure to improve efficiency. And now we have so many types of organizational change. So in our next discussion, we are moving on to types of organizational change. Now, the types we have strategic as a type of organizational stage, we have structural, and then we have process oriented, and then we have people oriented. Now, the strategy sometimes management must adjust the firm strategy to achieve the goals of the company or even to change the mission statement of the organization and respond to the demands of the external environment. But now the structural change, it affects the organizational, it involves the strategies, it involves change in an organizational long-term goals. That's the mission or overall strategy to respond to internal or external processes. Now the structural change, it's also organizations often find it necessary to redesign the structure of the company due to influences from the external environment. Structural changes involve the hierarchy of authority, goals, administrative procedures, and management system. Thus, it affects the organizational hierarchy with this type of management change. That's the structural. It affects the organizational hierarchy, reporting relationship, and the division of work. Example is departmental reorganization, changes in management level. And then we have process-oriented as a type of management change. Now, this type of change also affects the daily activities, the workflows and operational procedures. Example, new production method, that's the process orientation. And the people orientation, now as the business, we are there with people, the leaders, employees. So we say this type of change alters the attitude, behavior, skills, or performance of employees in the company. So this deals with the people in the organization, not necessarily the process oriented. Now, we also have challenges of organizational change. As we are moving, we are transforming from one thing to another. Definitely, there may be some challenges. So that brings us to challenges of organizational change. Now, the first one, the extent of planning. The extent of plan. Managers need to take steps to set up conditions that permit and even encourage change to occur. Now, this refers to how much advanced preparation is done before implementing change. Now, the change must be planned, it must be deliberate and carefully prepared with clear objectives and strategies. You just can't wake up and say, I'm changing from here to this. No, there must be a very carefully planned strategic objectives before you can be able to a change. Now, sometimes there must be unplanned changes that you are there and something pop up in organization that you need to take a drastic decision. So that one too is also there, that there must be an unplanned change. That's something pop up. So that's what we talk about, the conceptual skills of remember when we were talking about the skills of management, we talk about conceptual skills of a manager. That as a manager, you need to what? Think analytically. You have to be a problem solver. When the problem arises and no one is able to solve it, as a manager, your solution should be the best to solve the problem. So that's bear with the unplanned change. Even though you have to sit down, plan with your changes. This is how we are going. This is the problem. That's our measure. We have to do this. We have to do that. But sometimes and then the problem will just pop up that you need to what change. So that's the unplanned change. And then we have degree of change as a challenge of organizational change. Now, changes may be incremental or quantum. That's significant change altering how a company operates. This indicates how big or small the change is. The incremental change, that is small, is a gradual improvement over time. And then we have the major fundamental change that affects the whole organization. So sometimes the changes, the degree of change, the change may be small, gradually, and kakra, but sometimes there's what? A radical change. That's a major fundamental change affecting the whole organization. And then we have degree of learning. The degree to which organizational members are actively involved in learning how to plan and implement change while helping solve an existing problem. This is an amount of learning required by employees to adapt to the changes. Now, when there's low learning, minor adjustments using existing skills. If you don't learn, then the learning is very low. It's likely to lead to minor adjustment. And when the learning is high, that's the opposite. Okay, so we are moving to the target of change. Now, organizational change programs can vary concerning the hierarchical level or functional area of which the change is targeted. Now we are talking about what aspects of the organization needs to be changed. So this identifies what aspects of the organization to be changed. Are we to change the people, that's their attitudes, leadership style, or are we changing the structure, that's the hierarchy rules, or are we changing technology, the system or equipment, or what about the culture of the organization? Are you changing it? That's the beliefs and the values of the firm. So these are the challenges of organizational change. Then we are moving on to diagnosing the need for change. Diagnosing the need for change. Now, Yi Guinness model of organizational growth and change can help managers understand how the need for change relates to organizational cycles. So here, Larry Yi Guinness gave 5 stages to help managers understand how the need for change relates to organizational cycles. And the first one is creativity. Now, the founders of the organization dominate this stage, and the emphasis is on creating both a product and a market. But as the organization grows, management problems occur. Management problems occur that cannot be handled through informal communication. The founders find themselves burdened with unwanted management responsibilities, and conflict between employees and management grows. It is at this point that the crisis of leadership occurs and the first revolutionary period begins. So, with the creativities of talking about at the early stage of a organization, the organization is small and is very flexible. And then creativity and innovation drive centralized leadership and informal procedures are introduced. Now, because it is very small and very handy to be controlled, but as the organization is growing, that's where that's organization is growing. The informal management can no longer handle the complexity. So formal management structure and clear leadership are required. So that's the change. And now we have direction. We are talking about the 5 steps, the 5 steps approaches by Larry Greenness model, and we talk about the creativity. And the next one is direction. Direction. So during this period, a strong manager who is acceptable to the founder and who can pull the organization together is appointed. During this phase, the new manager and key staff take most of the responsibility for instituting direction, while lower level supervisors are treated more as functional specialists than autonomous decision-making managers. Lower level managers begin to demand more autonomy, and the next revolutionary period begins. That's with the direction. It also talk about uh, centralization, centralized leadership and formal processes. It talk about centralization. So as the organization is now growing and the managers are now in charge of everything, the autonomy crisis also begins setting. That's employees feel restricted and wanted more independence. So decentralization, and then delegation of authority to empower staff. So with this direction, that's managers take control of everything. Do this, do that. They instruct everyone in the organization. So the employees also need they need independence. So that's where the crisis set up. So there's a change. There must be decentralization and also delegation of authority to empower staff. And now that brings us to delegation as the third point, the third stage. Now, delegation, this stage often poses problems for top managers who have been successful at being directive. They may find giving up responsibility difficult. When an organization gets to the growth stage of delegation, it usually begins to develop a decentralized organizational structure, which heightens motivation at the lower level. Eventually, the next crisis begins to evolve as the top managers sense that they are losing control over a highly diversified operation. The crisis control results in centralization, which is now inappropriate and creates resentment and hostility among those who have been given freedom. Now, with the delegation, that's we all know, giving authority, assigning responsibility, and giving authority. So when it gets to the highest point, that there's decentralization organizational structure. So here now the managers, the top managers, they now feel threatened. They feel that they no longer have full control over the organization. As to when they say do this, do that, and it's being carried out. Now there's decentralization. So they don't have full control. So they fear, and they have what? Since they have done it alone, instruction, giving authority alone, and being successful, they fear now of giving responsibility because they may think they don't have no control over the company. So they would like to centralize, go the go the they plan to centralize it so that they will have full authority over the organization without giving authority to the junior staffs or the employees. So that's the delegation as diagnosing the need for change. Now, the fourth one is control. And this stage is characterized by using formal systems for achieving greater coordination with top management as the watchdog. It results in the next revolutionary period, the crisis of red tape. This crisis most often occurs when the organization has become too large and complex and is managed through programs or rigid systems. If the crisis of red tape, if the crisis of red tape, the crisis of red tape is to be overcome, the organization must move to the next revolutionary phase. That's the control. Now, with the control, when we talk of the red tape, right, we are talking about the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy slows decision making and reduces flexibility. Now, because everyone is on board, everyone has say in the organization, everyone decision must be sought for organization. It leads towards reduction. Decision making slows down because you need to consult everyone in order to implement decisions. So decision making slows down. And then so there's the need to change. That's fostering teamwork and improving communication. And the last one among them is collaboration. Now, the last phase emphasizes greater spontaneity in management action through teams and skillful confrontation and interpersonal differences. Social control and self-discipline take over from formal action. Guinness model shows uncertainty about what the next revolution of change will be, but anticipate that it will center on the psychological saturation of employees who grow emotionally and physically exhausted by the intensity of teamwork and heavy pressure for innovative solution. That's what the collaboration also focuses. It focuses on team-based approaches and then problem solving. And the crisis is there's internal growth limits. Organization may struggle with innovation and external adaptation. Now, the need for change. There should be encouraged continuous learning, innovation, and then flexible structure. Now, we are moving on to another important point, that is steps in planned change. Steps in planned change. As I said earlier now, that change must be deliberate. You don't need to get up one day and say, I'm changing. It must be clearly, the objective must be clearly stated. You must sit down and plan. Now, so we are going through the steps in planned change. And the first step is recognize the need for change. The change must be due to either internal or external forces. Remember, we have talked about the causes of organizational change being internal and external. So first, you have to sit down and you have to identify the problem. You all know identification of the problem is half solved. You have to sit down and recognize the need for change. That this is the problem and we need to go by it. We need to change, whether changing our methods, whether changing our style of leadership. So that's recognizing the need for change. It doesn't necessarily mean since everyone is changing and you've realized there's nothing to be changed, you just get up and say, I'm changing. No, you have to sit down, also plan and recognize the need for change. Then the next one is develop the goals of the change. Both problems and opportunities must be evaluated. Then define needed changes in terms of products, technology, structure, and culture. So after you have identified your problem, after you have recognized the need for change, you have to develop your objective, write them down. Okay, I've seen that I have to change our productivity, our technology tool, our structure, our culture, we have to change it. So how are we going to change it? So that's the developing the goals for the change. You just write the objective should be clear. This specifically needs to change about our products. This is what we are changing about technology. Are we to implement or revise our old technology? Are we to buy new equipment? Are we to change the entire equipment in our factory? We need to. So all these are what developing the goals for the change, how we want to achieve the change. And then you have to select a change agent. The change agent is the person who takes leadership responsibility to implement planned change. To us teachers, we say teachers are agents of change. So we have recognized this is what we are changing. These objectives, this how we are going by to change what the organization, the management. So for whom? Who is to change? Who is to be in charge of what? Change or the change. So you have to carefully select the change agent. As you have to select a competent person who can take what the leadership responsibility to implement plan change. Not just anyone, but you have to what carefully select someone who can implement the change. Now the fourth one is diagnose the current climate. In this step, the change agent sets about gathering data about the climate of the organization to help employees prepare for change. Preparing people for change requires direct and forceful feedback about the negatives of the present situation as compared to the desired future states, and sensitizing people to the forces of change that exist in the environment. Now, before you can say you are changing something, it means what exists is not desirable. What exists is not what it doesn't conform to the norm of the organization. Since the organization, our main is to produce and get profit, maximize profits. So if there's a system, there is something that you think hinders what achieving our goal, that brings about the change. So after you have appointed the leader, you have appointed someone who is leading the change implementation, that person should also sit down carefully and look for the data about the climate of the organization to help prepare for the change. Okay, I'm leading. This is what we need to do. Sometimes he has to take what a forceful decision. We are all doing this. So we are all going by this. Since I'm leading, we are going by this. We need to change from here to here. This is the path that we are all moving. So everyone to come on board. You have to do this. You have to do this. Train the people along so that they accept it. You know, all that we are doing, the change, we are doing it with people. The leader cannot do it alone. So you have to bring your employees on board, sensitize them, have training for them so that they also accept the need to change. Okay, then we move on to implement the change in the organization. Now we also have select an implementation method. Now, because you have what one for data, look for data, you have numerous of them. Then you just select the one which you think is the best to implement the change. So this step require a decision on the best way to bring about the change. So gathering data, you see that you can get so many ways of implementing change. So you carefully select the best one that can bring about the required or the desirable change the organization needs. And then the next one, develop a plan. The plan is like a roadmap. It notes specific events and activity that must be timed and integrated to produce the change. It also delegates responsibility for each of the goals and objectives. So now, after you have selected the best method for implementation, there's the need to plan. You see, in management, in organization, a firm, whatever that you do, there must be what? Planning. There must be careful planning. You can't just, if the moment you say, oh, I've gotten this method, let's move on, you will fail. You have to sit down, develop a plan, then you go according by the plan. So this is how we are going. It's like a roadmap that you are following so that you don't get lost. So it's a map that you are following. So with a plan, you state what the specific event and the activities that must be timed. So with the roadmap, the events and activities are clearly specified. And also delegate, whether you delegate authority responsibilities, they are all clearly specified in the roadmap. So there must be a plan development. And the next one is implement the plan. Now, after you have drafted your plan, the plan is like a draft, it's just written. It's a decision that you want to follow. The implementation, that is the actual, the activities. Yes. So after all the questions have been answered, the plan is put into action. So you have planned, you have written it down. We are doing this. If you will do this, will it be effective? If you do this, will it be successful? If you did this, so after all the answers have been answered, now you have to implement your plan. So follow the plan and evaluate it. Now, during these steps, management must compare the actual results to the goal established in step 2. And then change should produce positive results and be taken for its own sake. So here we're talking about controlling as functions in management, that the actual results must be measured against the stated objective. Now we are implementing a plan already. We have developed a plan. We are going by this. We are doing this. We have implemented. Now we need to what? We have to compare. This is the actual goals, the stated goals. This is the actual resource. Now let's compare. Does it conform to our stated objective or it doesn't? If it doesn't, then we take corrective measures as we learned in controlling. And then we are moving on to opposition to organizational changes. Opposition to organizational change. You see, in everywhere we have opposition. If you're in the church, there's opposition. In the firm, the business, there's opposition. Everywhere there is opposition. Then yes, that's because we are all not the same. We all come from different backgrounds. So what I believe is the best, someone also believe otherwise. So that brings about the opposition to organizational changes. Here are some of the most common reasons employees resist change. So we are going to look at the reasons why employees resist change. That's the opposition. Uncertainty and insecurity. Reaction against the way change is presented. Threat to vested interest. And then cynicism and lack of trust. Perceptual difference and lack of understanding. So as I said, when you implementing the plan, your plan, that's your roadmap. Since I say we are moving with people as a leader, you are not alone. You are moving with people on board. So you have to make them understand this is how we are going by it. This is what we are doing. This is what we are supposed to do. Activities must be clearly spelled out. Now, if this is not done, certainly there may be opposition. Let's say you are in a firm or you are an organization, and one day you get to work and say, you are doing this, stop, go and do this. You may try to oppose because sometimes you have not even been trained to handle, let's say, machine, and you are using this particular machine which you have been trained of, and you are being told to stop and use the other one. You may oppose to. So yes, you may be opposed to, and sometimes employee may feel insecurity, uncertainty what at all is going on, since they have no knowledge about the organizational changes, what we are doing. So all these are opposition to organizational changes, uncertainty and insecurity, reaction against the way change is presented. So if you don't present how we are changing it well, definitely there will be an opposition. And then threat to invested interest, and then cynicism and lack of trust, the perceptual difference and lack of understanding. Now, steps for overcoming opposition. What we will do to overcome those who are opposing the need for change. We say we want to change. Now, people are opposing it. We don't want change. Whatever where we are is okay for us. So there's no need changing. And as organization, considering our core mandate, our mission, our vision, we have realized, our top managers realize that there is a need to change. And there are these people, especially the employees who are also in the organization, insisted that there's no change, there's nothing to be changed. So that's the opposition. So we are going to look at the steps overcoming opposition. If you want to change and people are opposing you, what are you going to do? Managers can use two approaches to change attitudes and behaviors at the individual level. So as managers, we can use these two approaches we are going to go through to change attitudes and behaviors. Now, the first one is the three-step approach. The three-step approach. And the second one is force field approach. Force field analysis. You have the force field analysis and the three-step approach. Now we'll be going through them. Now the first one, that's the three-step approach. The first point under it is unfreezing. Unfreezing. Now what the unfreezing means is developing an initial awareness of the need for change and the forces supporting and resisting change. So as I've been saying, you have to what? Make them aware. Make all those the stakeholders aware that there's the need to change. That's the unfreezing. Everyone must be aware of the need to change and the forces supporting and resisting change. Everyone should come on board that we have to change because of this and that. There's the need to achieve a change. Then the next one under the three-step approach is changing. This step focuses on learning new behaviors. Change results from individuals being uncomfortable with the identified negative behaviors and being presented with new behaviors, role models, and support. So with this point, because we are changing, as I said, before we can adapt to change, it means there's something there which is undesirable. So we need to change from it. So with this step also focus on learning new behaviors. So we are learning new things altogether. So change results from individual being uncomfortable with identify negative behavior. That means the behavior that is there already, we are not comfortable with it. So there's a need to change to comfortable behaviors. Now, the first one is refreezing. The first one is unfreezing. Then we came to changing and the refreezing. Now, refreezing is the final stage under the three-step approach. The refreezing centers on reinforcing new behaviors, usually by positive results, feelings of accomplishment, or rewards. Now, we are changing. We have identified where we need to change. Now we are changing. We have developed new behavior. This is how you are going to go about. So this is the rephrasing is like implementation stage, implementing new behaviors. So how you go about it? Is it through rehearse? Now we were doing this. We were all coming to work late. That's why we're having low productivity. That's example. Now, this is the new behavior. We are coming to work at exactly 6 a.m. So you go by this by reward. Anyone who comes to the workplace at 6 o'clock will get something. So you see that by way of doing this, the new behavior will be reinforced. Okay, there mustn't be any strict reinforcement. So this is the freezing. So these are the steps under the three-step approach. Now, the next approach that we talk about, that's the force field analysis. Remember, we talk about the three-step approach and the force field analysis. Now, the force field analytic problem-solving model was developed by behavioral scientist Kurt Lewin in the 1940s. The force field analytic problem-solving model was developed by behavioral scientist Kurt Lewin in the 1940s. The change forces are known as drivers. Drivers push toward a solution to the problem. And then other forces are known as resistors. Resistors inhibit improvement or solution to the problem. So according to Kurt Lewin, we have two forces. That's the drivers, the one that is pushing you towards a solution. I have identified the problem. Now, these are the steps that I will follow to achieve or to change the problem. So, working towards the drive, something in you that work towards, that push you towards that solution, that push you toward that activity, that action to solve the problem is the drivers. And the opposite is the resistance. Now, the resistance inhibit the improvement or solution to the problem. So, as something is pushing you towards the solution, something is also pushing you away. So the resistance is like preventing you to achieve your objective, the change objective. And the drivers is the one pushing you towards the change objective. So these are the force field analysis. And I said it was developed by a behavioral scientist, Kurt Lewin, 1940s. So we have two forces, the drivers and the resistors. The drivers are the one that push you towards a solution to achieve the problem. And the resistors are the one that inhibits improvement or that prevents you from achieving your problem, the solution to your problem. Now, we are still on the force field analysis. We have talked about the one developed by the Kurt Lewin. Now, here we are talking about to apply the model to a problem. A manager should follow these steps. Now, we are going to look at the steps that a manager needs to follow in order to overcome opposition. Remember, in January, we said opposition are those who are preventing us to achieve our aim as well as the change is concerned, the change in organization is concerned. So we are going to look at models to a problem that a manager should follow. So with this, when the manager follow carefully, he will achieve its objective in the long run, change in the organization. Now, the first one is carefully and fully specify the problem. Now, a problem may be defined as the difference between what currently exists and what should exist. So, as a manager, you need to what? Carefully specify the problem. And he's saying when we say problem, that's in between, a betweener. This is what exists, it's not good. Now we want to do this. This is the good one. So the in between the bad or the good, or in between the old and the new, is what we are talking about here. So we say a problem may define as the difference between what currently exists and what should exist. So the old behavior and the new behavior, the difference is what we see as the problem. So the problem may define as the difference between what currently exists and what should exist. So the next one, so as manager, you have to carefully and fully specify the problem. You have to identify the problem, as we have said earlier, recognize the problem. So this is what needs to be changed. And after carefully specify the problem, you need to define objectives. A manager must consider what the situation will be like when it is solved. So this is the situation. This is what needs to be changed. Okay, after we have achieving it, after solving it, what will be the results? So the manager must consider what the situation will be like when it is solved. So if you solve the problem, what will be the situation now? Now brainstorm to determine the driving and resisting force and that contributes to the problem. Remember, we just talked about the Kurt Lewin's model, that the driving and the resistance. Driving is what is pushing us towards achieving the solution, and then the resistors are those pushing us out. It is preventing us from achieving the objective. So you have to brainstorm. You all know brainstorming. So you have to brainstorm to determine the driving, the resisting for that contribute to the problem. And then the fourth one is analyze these forces more fully and develop a strategy. Now, this strategy should be aimed at strengthening the driving forces and weakening the resisting forces. Now, after we have brainstormed to know our driving and the resisting forces, now we have to analyze them. We have to analyze, remember that we are solving a problem. We are solving a problem, and there is a force that is helping us, pushing us towards solving it. And there's also another force that is resisting us. So, what are you going to do? You have to strengthen the one that is pushing us to achieve our objective, to solve our problem, and we have to weakening the resistant one. So if the driving one becomes more, the driving forces become what intensified than the resistant forces, definitely we will achieve our result. And vice versa. If the resisting force also overcome the driving forces, we can't achieve our result because it is pushing us away from our objective. So you have to strengthen our driving forces and as well as weakening the resisting forces. And the fifth one is compare strategy against company or departmental objective. A manager must consider whether his or her problem-solving strategy will promote a change in the status quo. You see, in management, wherever point, anytime there's an implementation, there must be a control mechanism that you have to measure whether you are on course, whether you are failing, whether there's something you need to change. So you have to consider as a manager whether the problem-solving strategy will promote a change in the status quo. So the moment you do this along, the moment you see that it is not solving, then you restructure, you re-strategize in order to achieve your results. Now, we are coming to organizational culture changes. Organizational culture changes. So we are finished with the steps for overcoming the opposition in changing. We are finished. So we are moving on to organizational culture change. Now, culture and people change in an organization refers to a shift in employees' values, norms, attitudes, beliefs, and behavior. Remember when we were talking about the internal causes of organizational change, we talked about the employees' behavior, people's behavior. Now, when we talk about culture, as you all know, way of people, the way of life. Now, here we are linking it to the people. So, culture and people change in our organization refers to a shift in employees' values, norms, attitude, beliefs, and behavior. Now, what the employees used to do, what they believe in, their attitudes, their skills. Now we are changing from it. We are shifting. We are moving away from it. So that brings out to organizational culture changes. Now, under it, we have two. We have people change and we have culture change. Now, people change pertains to just a few employees, such as when a handful of middle managers are sent to a training course to improve their leadership skills. Now, by people change, we are shifting from people's behavior to a desirable one. Let's say what their skills, we want to better it, we want to change their values. Now, I said there's a need for training. So we say when skillful, let's say, pertains to just a few employees, such as when a handful of middle managers are sent to a training course to improve their leadership skills. So this is about training, a workshop. So there will be a training course to improve our leadership skills. You see, and in and day out, there's education, we learn. So when there must be a change, there must be training, there must be learning. We have to train. We are changing from here to here. We are changing from this behavior today. We are changing from this attitude today. There must be a training in order to improve our changes. There must be a training to improve our leadership skills as managers. Then we have culture change. And the culture change pertains to the organization, such as changing an organization from a bureaucratic structure to a more participatory environment that focuses on employees providing customer service and quality through teamwork and employees' participation. Now, this also deals with as organization, how we change our management, our leadership skills. There must be a democracy. Since we are all on board, since we are all agents of change, we are all supporting the leader to effect the change. There must be what the organization must change, must move from the bureaucratic structure. There should be what participatory by the environment. Everyone should be in on board, our customers, employees, everyone. There should be a teamwork, okay, and then employees participation. So these are the culture and the people change. That's there must be what a change in people, and there must be a change in culture. And then we have a major approach to changing people and culture is through organizational development. A major approach. That's another important point. That in order for an organization to effect a change, there must be what the change people and culture is through organizational development. Now, organizational development focuses primarily on people processes as the target of change. That's the people. You know, I always say when we human beings, when we change our attitudes, there are so many problems in the society that can be solved naturally if we change our attitude. We as a human being change our attitude. There are so many problems, there are so many effects in the environment that is caused by we humans. So if we change our attitudes, definitely it's going to solve naturally. So the organizational development focuses primarily on people processes as the target of change. Now, this approach applies behavioral science knowledge to the planned development of organizational strategies. The organizational development, this approach applies behavioral science knowledge to the planned development of organizational strategies. So the aims of organizational development are as follows. So in order to achieve or solve a problem, as I said, there must be organizational development. And we are going to look at the aims of organizational development. Encourage cooperation. Encourage cooperation. That's bring everyone on board. We are all together. Bernice, when we are two heads are better than one. So we have to all come on board, bring your what you believe in, bring your solution, bring your decision. This is what we are moving, this is what we are doing. So you have to what? Encourage cooperation. Eliminate conflicts. Now, the moment you encourage cooperation and objectives are clearly specified, there will be what? There will be no conflict because each and everyone knows what he or she is doing. We all know what's the target that we are moving. We all know the plan, the objective, and we are all on board. We all have accepted to change. So there's what? Elimination of conflict. So we have to eliminate conflict. But if we are all not on board, if there's no cooperation, definitely there will be conflicts in among us. So eliminate conflict, increase motivation. Yes, you have to increase motivation, then improve problem solving. Now, this one is self-explanatory. And then open lines of communication. There must be a free flow of communication. Employees should communicate freely to leadership, and the leadership also communicates. It shouldn't be one way around that only leadership can communicate or issue command or send information to employee, but employees cannot send if communicate with leaders. No, there must be open lines of communication. Everyone must be able freely to express his or her view, and then develop mutual trust. You see, where there are two parties, wherever we have agreed to move, trust is very important, even in marriage. If you don't trust yourself, I don't think the marriage will succeed. So in this, there must be mutual trust. I have to trust you, and you also have to trust. You don't have to doubt me. If you doubt me, I will also doubt you. So there must be what? Mutual trust. Now, popular organizational development tool. We are going to talk about the organizational development tools. Popular organizational development tools consist of consultants, surveys, group discussions, and then training section. Here's a brief description of some of the more common techniques used at these meetings. Now, for organizational tools, say it consists of consultants, there must be surveys, there must group discussions, there must be training sections. Yes, as time in and time out, there should be training as to where we are going, what we are doing. This is the equipment we are now using. There must be a training. So we are going to look at a brief description of some of the more common techniques used at this meeting. Now we have sensitivity training. It is a method of changing behavior through unstructured group interaction. And then we have survey feedback. That's a technique for assessing attitude, identifying discrepancies in them, and then resolving the differences by using survey information in feedback groups. Then we have process consultation, and this involves help given by an outside consultant to a manager in perceiving, understanding, and acting upon interpersonal processes. And then we have team building, including interaction among members of work team to learn how each members think and work. And then intergroup development involves changing the attitude, the stereotypes, and perceptions that work groups have for each other. So all these are description of some of the more common techniques used at this meeting. That's the tools, the organization development tools. So all these are very necessary and very, very important as far as management change is concerned. Sensitivity training. So there must be a method of changing. You can't just wake up and say, I'm changing your behavior. What I'm doing, I know it's right. So you can't just get up and say, I'm changing it. There must be what a method, a way of going about it. There must be survey feedback. Okay, so it must be assessing as you are changing the behavior, going by, there must be assessing. You have to assess whether what you are doing, where you are going, is really what will really change or cause effects of change in behavior. And there must be process consultation. So as a manager, there's the need to consult. Okay, they help if you have what little knowledge about how to effect change in behavior of your people, your followers, your employees. There's a need to consult outside. There's no shame in seeking advice from somewhere that I want to do this. I've identified the problem. I want to go by it, but I lack the knowledge. But I'm stuck here. I don't know what to do. When you consult, definitely you get help, and this will help a long way to achieve your aim. And there should be team building, including interaction among members of work. Encourage teamwork, bring on board everyone's view, and by so doing, you achieve your aim. That's effecting behavioral change in people. And then intergroup development changing the attitudes, stereotypes, and perception that work groups have for each other. So there must be what training, there must be what changing attitudes too. You see, there are so many stereotypes, so many perceptions about even tribes. When you find yourself people in an organization, you see, you have so many people from different backgrounds, from different religions, different tribes coming together. Now, if I have bad perception about your tribe, they find it difficult even trusting you. You see, there are some tribes in Ghana here, people have bad perception about them. So when they are dealing with such a tribe, they are very careful. And we have so many religions in Ghana. So if we ignore or we eradicate all these stereotypes, all these perceptions that exist among us, definitely we are going to change our behavior, and in the long run, we will achieve our aim as effecting management change. So this brings the end of our discussion. So any addition, question, contribution, suggestions? Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes, please. This is the end of my presentation. That's presentation of Group 5. So any additions, questions, or contribution?
Okay, so I think you have said it all and you've done very well. What I will add to it is that you see, change itself is very difficult when it comes to we human beings, even as teachers. When the new curriculum was brought, I think there were so many views and so many difficulties that we encountered. But later, we saw the benefits of the change to the society and then the learners that we also teach. And we are saying that, as you already said, change itself helps to what improve, and then it also try to what innovate. We say change moves with what creativity and innovation. And so when we continue to do it, it helps and also improve the image of the organization. And then we said that change itself, the importance, as you've already said it, it's improved the efficiency and the productivity in the organization, and also reduce the resistance and conflicts. When there is change, you see that new rules and strategies are put in order so that employees and then management are very okay with whatever is going on in the organization. And we are also able to achieve our long-term goals as we have already done. So thank you very much and God bless you.
You are welcome. Please,
You're
more.
welcome.
I don't know. It seems Mr. Daniel wanted to disagree with Madam Juliana. Am I right? When she talked
Oh,
about the curriculum change.
okay. Then let's let him bring
No,
on
I
board.
don't understand why he started laughing when you made that statement. Mr. Dan,
He
can we hear
started
you
that
out?
when you talk about the benefit of the curriculum to society. That's where the laughter started.
So, Mr. Daniel, maybe you should explain to more on that.
Okay. Okay, Uncle Dan, we are waiting. Oh, but
Mr.
but
Daniel, but I
yeah,
think it's okay.
yeah,
You
Auntie
did
Betty.
a very good job.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yes, Dilali, we are waiting. Oh, which group is going next?
Any group that is ready can go. Daniel, please you can present for your group and since you are a leader. Yeah, and this is group 4, right? Daniel,
Okay.
please can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
But a quick one, per my observation, I've realized I saw the Daniels that are rather the group leaders. Group,
Uh,
yes,
is
group 2,
okay.
Daniel, group 3, Daniel, group 4, Daniel.
But Group 5, you have Rita.
Yes, and group 1, Mr. Kobna.
And all the group leaders are also men, except me. So next time, gender balance, please.
Gender balance is true.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And thanks so much for a very nice presentation. Um, please, our topic for group 4 is managing organizational conflict and power politics. And
The objectives that we are to follow is that we are to describe the meaning, levels, and stages of organizational conflict and explain the causes and consequences of intergroup conflicts, analyze the preventing and management of conflicts, analyze the prevention and management of conflicts, define organizational politics, identify the causes of organizational politics, relate the forms of organizational politics and the types of tactics. Then finally, describe the management and organizational politics. Okay, so as an introduction, there is this term that is referred to as reward system. So we want to look at that. So reward system of most organization encourage employees to compete. So I want us to put that in our mind. Reward systems of most organizations encourage employees to compete. Now, the competition may be either open or closed. In open competition, also called win-win or positive competition, the size of the organizational cake of which the rival parties are seeking their share is infinite, so that if one party gets more than the other, it is not at, at it is not at the expense of the other others right, sorry. Now, in a close competition, that is win-lose competition, the size of the cake is supposed to be fixed or finite, so that in if one gets more than the other, it is always at the expense of others. Now, what is organizational conflict? Organizational conflict is a situation of closed or win-lose competition in which parties try to keep each other from attaining their goals. There are three main levels of organizational conflict. It may exist: one, between individuals; or two, between individuals and groups; or three, between groups and in the same organization. Now, what are the stages of conflict? We have the first stage, which is latent conflict. The second stage is perceived conflict. Third, felt conflict. Fourth, manifest conflict. And the last but not the least, conflict aftermath. Now, how does this work? Let's look at conflict, the stages in detail. Latent conflict. At this first stage, only potential opposition exists between the parties. This means that all causes of conflict are lying hidden. Parties are not yet aware of them. Now, the second stage is perceived conflict. In this stage, parties become aware of the causes of conflict and they begin perceiving the conflict. The third stage is felt conflict. In this stage, parties become emotionally, you know, involved in the conflict and start feeling the conflict. Now, the fourth stage, which is manifest conflict. In this stage, parties begin to be lack of coordination, decreased interaction, breakdown in the workload, concealment and distortion of information, rigid and formal in decision procedure, rigidity and formality, appeal to superior for decisions, low trust, suspicion, and hostility. Now, the last but not the least stage, conflict pattern with a clear beginning and end. Every conflict episode is genuinely resolved to the satisfaction of all the parties. The basics of the cooperative relationship the basis is merely suppressed. The latent condition of the conflict may be aggravated and may explode in a more until or until the relationship dissolves. Now, what are the causes of that? Two, status incongruities. In apportioning credit or blame. Five, dependency or dependence on common resources. Six, informational sexual differences in tax time and interpersonal orientations. Now, what are the consequences of a group conflict? Since many of its internal differences and becomes more. Two, group climate informal and playful to formal and tax oriented. Three, leadership pattern changes from democratic to autocratic to deal with the external threats. So now let's look at being group becomes more hostile towards the other group. Its perception of the other group becomes distorted. Now each group decreases its interaction and communication with other group. Each group tries to bias the superior's decision in its favor by controlling, concealing, or distorting information under its control. So, how do we manage these conflicts? Okay, so some of the ways by which we can do this is planning and programming of work schedules, introducing buffers such as in inventories and contingency funds, reducing pressure for consensus of joint decision making, reducing goal differentiation by providing for joint payoffs or incentives and creating subordinate goals, making roles and job descriptions clearer. Now, we also have certain views about managing conflicts. We have the traditional views, the behavioral view, then the interactionist views. Now, what is the traditional view? According to this first view, all conflicts are dysfunctional and should therefore be avoided by the manager. Now, according to this same view, this, however, is not correct. The manager who uses this approach always runs the risk of reducing the creativity of his organization. In an atmosphere where differences are avoided, Not only do new ideas appear less frequently, but old ideas are likely to go unexamined and untested. Now, we also have the behavioral view, which says that, now, according to this second view, all conflicts are not dysfunctional. Some may be even functional and should therefore be acceptable or accepted by the manager. A conflict is functional of its one improves the quality of decisions by acting as an antidote to group thinking, stimulates creativity and innovation by challenging the status quo, encourages interest and curiosity among group members, provides the medium to air out problems and release tension, fosters an environment of self evaluation and change. So this is according to the behavioral view. Now let's look at the interactionist view. According to this third view, a manager should not merely accept functional conflicts, but must manage to maintain it at an optimal level. Okay, so when we put this in a table, we can look at the situation as A, B, and C. And then we have the situation where we have the level of conflicts, whether it is low, optimal, or high. Then we have types of conflicts: dysfunctional, functional, and dysfunctional. Okay. Then we also have organizations, internal characteristics. The first one, which is situation A, which is a lower, which the conflict is level is low or none. We have apathetic. It is apathetic, stagnant, non-responsive to change, lack of new ideas, low performance. That is when the type of conflict which is dysfunctional. Okay, now the one that is optimal or functional, we have better motivated staff, no dissipation of staff energy, teamwork and innovation, positive image, better personal development of individuals. And then we also have high performance. And then when we look at the other dysfunctional, which is the last one, we can see that staff energies are directed to emotions rather than work. And then a negative image of the organization or staff is seen. And then no team work and cooperation. So where there is high dysfunctionality, we see that one there. So depending on the how high the conflict is, we can be able to observe these occurrences. Now, how do we solve management, or how do we manage conflicts? Method for managing conflicts. There can be three forms of conflict management. We have stimulating conflict in units or organizations where it is too low. And then two, reducing conflicts where it is too high. And then the last one, resolving conflicts. Okay, so methods of managing conflicts. We have the conflict stimulation method, which is manipulate communication channel, alter the organization's structure, alter personal behavior factors. So these are ways by which we can stimulate um, conflicts, which is one of the methods of managing conflicts. So let's look at it into detail. So Conflict stimulation method involves manipulation of communication channel. Now, how do we do it? Exclude individuals from traditional communication channels or add new individuals to the communication network. Suppress information. Transmit too much information. Transmit ambiguous or threatening information. So these are the ways we can stimulate uh, conflict. Okay, the second method, which is conflict. Okay, the second way by which we do is alter the communication structure. Now, increase a unit size, redefine jobs, alter tasks, increase specification and specialization and standardization, add, delete, or transfer organizational members, increase interdependence between units. And then the last way of stimulating conflict method is alter personal behavior factors. That is, change personality characteristics of the leader. For example, place in high positions individuals who encourage people to air their views, create role conflicts, develop role incongruence, create competition among subunits. All right. So that is for the stimulation of conflicts. Now let's go to the second method, which is conflict reduction method. The manager can, one, fix a superordinate goal, ask group to unite to meet a common enemy or threats, impose a solution when quick action is necessary, but it does not necessarily bring agreement, smooth over play down or smooth over differences, emphasize common interests and appeal to the good sense of the parties, pretend unawareness and avoid taking a position, thus buying time for the emotions to cool down, create a temporal buffer between the two groups to absorb the emotional tones. All right. Now we also have the conflict resolution method continuation. Is that the two conflict resolution method most frequently used are compromise, integration, or negotiation. Now, it is a process, the compromise, it is a process of settling the conflict by reaching a compromise. It's a process of settling the conflict by reaching a compromise. Secondly, integration or negotiation. This is a dialectical process. Both parties speak out their needs, desire, and visions. Okay, then we also talk about power and politics, or what we call organizational politics. Power and politics are very closely related to concepts. Now, what is power? Is the ability or the available potential of an individual to influence or to cause another individual to act. Then politics is socially acceptable, legitimate use of power called authority. Okay, so organizational politics among individuals, groups, or organizations. So that is one of the cause. That is concerning human aspirations, and so long as there is conflicting claims on these limited resources, the criteria change. Okay. So what are the forms of political tactics? Controlling access to information, competition among ambitious subordinates to strengthen one's position, forming a winning coalition, using research data to support one's point of view, controlling resource needs, waiting for crisis and creating obligations. I did you a favor, so you owe me a favor. Making a counter suggestions as the solution to one to some problem. So these are the forms of political tactics which people use. All right. So let's come to the dysfunctional consequences. With now, organization it weakens the employees' morale. It creates victims and victors. It leads to several unethical activities such as favoritism in making purchases, and so on. It fritters away time and energy in planning attacks. Now, reducing system uncertainty, reducing competition, watching game players, creating open channel of communication, acting as a window. So on. All right. So first of all, has to do with the way. So this reward system has to either be open or closed. It must be either open or closed. Now, in an open competition or in this competition, we are talking about it being open or closed. Now, in an open competition, there is a win-win, and the what the parties are seeking is also infinite. It's always there in abundance. For example, let's talk about teacher promotion. You can rise to any level you want as a teacher, from let's say principal superintendent. You move to director, assistant director two, assistant director one. Then you go to director. Then you go to the higher level into uh, to the level of the one that you can even work with the director general. Okay, so this one is infinite, and that is something which is open. It's a competition, but it is open. Everybody can achieve it, and in that case, there is win-win. The more you work, the more you gain. So in that reward system or competition, everybody can strive to any level. Now, but in a close competition, there is a win-lose. And as humans as we are, human beings are genetically, or let me say naturally, greedy. Okay, so when there is only a fixed position, for example, a director general, which is a political appointment, is only at the discretion of a government or the president or the minister of education, where we can have one person representing that portfolio. But and because it is fixed, this can lead to so many conflicts at that level, at the director general's department, where you have a lot of people with the same qualifications striving to get the same position. So in this case, the competition there is closed, and therefore that reward system can create a win-lose competition. Okay, now when we come to what an organizational conflict is, we want to relate that to our organization. So we say that it is a situation of close or win-lose competition. Now, many of the conflicts in our organization is as a result of this win-lose competition. So if a conflict will arise in any organization, then it means that the reward system there is very closed. It's not open, and yet everybody wants to achieve that. Okay, so what are the levels of organizational conflicts? We in our schools, for example, we can have individuals who are at conflict with each other. So a teacher and a teacher, a class one teacher and a class two teacher may have conflicts. Why? Because there is something they disagree. And then another level is that we can have individuals and groups. So let's say uh, an individual, a teacher, may have a problem with the welfare. A welfare is a group in the school. So when maybe there is no fairness in the eyes of that person, you would think that, oh, the welfare is not actually something we must sustain. How can I pay money or make contributions for somebody, and as for me, nobody makes contribution for me because I don't have any program to bring to board. So in that sense, the person will feel cheated. So that will be an individual and group conflict. Then we can have the group and group conflicts, which is groups in the same organization may also have some conflict. Let's say the HOD for, okay, let's say we have the math department and the science department. Whenever there's going to be, I mean, a quiz competition or a program related to technology, they will only take the science students. But we also know that math is one of the areas in technology. You cannot do away with that. So there may be conflict between the two groups. So we can also have group conflicts. So what are the stages of conflict? The first one, which is referred to as the latent stage. A latent stage is where the people who are involved in the conflicts, normally at the first stage, they don't show any reaction to anybody. Everybody is on their own. Let's say a newly transferred teachers to a school, and then a newly transferred headmaster to a school. In that sense, potentially everybody has a problem, but none of them has brought it out. So all of them have hidden their problems and it's in their minds psychologically. And then the second one is the perceived conflict. So as you move along and you are in the school, you realize that there are certain things you don't agree with, and you can see it clearly that these are problems, but you are not even making any effort to, talk about it or react to it. So you only perceive it. Then the third stage is felt conflicts. This is where the conflict itself become something that you are now feeling it as an individual. So emotionally, you can feel it. You are also involved. Let's say a deduction from a contribution you have made, a wrongful deduction, which you need answers to, but it is directly at you. Then we come to the stage where you have a manifest conflict. In this sense, you realize that the person is actually going to express or react to the problem, to the conflicts. So you find people talking against each other, you find people mocking or using derogatory remarks on each other. And over there is lack of coordination, there's decreased interaction. You may choose not to talk to the person because of the anger. There is breakdown of workflow. You may not want to coordinate your work with the person. There is a breakdown of trust, and people begin to react to the situation which they are feeling. All right. And then we also have the last stage, which is the conflict aftermath. So, at one point in time, when people have conflicts and they react to the conflicts, no matter the number of days or months it will take, the person will make a certain conclusion about the conflict, how the person wants to behave, maybe in that organization. Now, at that stage, it's either somebody has come to mediate on the conflict, and by so doing, the person will begin to be functional or begin to do the things that he has to do properly. Or it could be that the person never got any mediation. The problem still lingers, and therefore the person will have a certain attitude towards the work. So this is the conflict aftermath. Depending on how the problem is solved, the problem will either the conflict will either linger on or it may curtail at that stage. So that these are the stages of conflict. And then we also see that in intergroup conflicts, there is unequal or one-sided dependence. Now, when people feel cheated or when people feel they are not getting equal benefits from a group, then there is a problem. Maybe let's say that, for example, when teachers on duty in a certain department are made to become are made to be on duty on a certain week, and these teachers on duty, there is only few people who come to do the work, and the others will leave the work. They will not come and do it. So it's like the few people that are doing the work are always being the dependents. Okay, people uh, depend on them. They are always giving out, but they don't get it back. And as a result of that, it creates unequal situations. And then we also have status incongruities. That is where maybe you felt you have been in a school for a long time, and maybe you are having a certain rank, and you deserve to be given certain portfolio or office. And yet, a newly transferred teacher who just came last week has been given that position, and you feel that that is wrong, and it can cause intergroup conflicts. We can also talk about difficulty in apportioning credit or blame. Sometimes people that need to be scolded or maybe um, queried are not, because the headmaster or maybe the teacher person, or maybe there's a way of appreciating a teacher who has done very well. So all this can create, and then we can also talk about dependency on common resource. When you put, let's say, two teachers, teachers, non-teaching staff, HOD, and or let's say assistant
Hello. Just a second, Mr. Daniel. Just a
headmaster,
second. The
we share
time,
the same office with assistant
because we
headmaster,
have to end by
administration.
10 now.
Hello.
So,
Oh, really?
hello, Mr. Dan. So, sorry to
Hello.
interject, but we are looking at time here, so that if you can be very snappy, so that the other groups too can present.
Oh, okay.
Because
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So, as um, I was saying, these are all ways by which intergroup conflicts, can resolve. Then we also have the within. We have what we call the individual and group. Okay, that one too um, is also another way. We also have within each group and so on and so forth. So ways of managing these conflicts can be traditional, behavioral, and interactionist way of managing. So as we said, it's not always that we should have a negative view about conflicts. Conflicts are good sometimes, and that is where the behavioral view will tell the traditional view that no, conflict is not always dysfunctional, but it's also functional, and there's a need to encourage conflict because it makes the organization progress. So, and the interactionist view also talk about the fact that the persons who are in charge must always manage to maintain the conflicts. I mean, to manage the conflicts and make sure to achieve optimal level. So thank you everybody very much, and I believe that we will be able to succeed in every activities we have started. Thank you very much. Please, is the other group available?
I think we are left with group 2, and then
I think everybody
group,
has left.
but we are left with group 2, and
Okay.
then group 3, motivating and then controlling. So Daniela J. Entry is a group leader for group 2. If he's there, he can take over. Group 2. Either group 2 or group 3 can present. Mr. Daniel Minta Nyako.
I think that most of us have left. We are the only two people on the network.
Hello.
on the platform.
Oh,
Hello.
they are there. They are there.
Hello.
We are
Okay.
there. We are here. Oh.
Hello.
I'm here.
Hello.
Hello, Danny. We can hear you.
Hi.
Yes. In fact, I'm struggling with my internet, but I will
Okay.
try. I don't know if you can hear me. I would like to for group three. I would like to do a
Okay.
presentation. Yes. So group three, we are looking at control, and our learning objectives to get the concept of control, the interdependence of control, and other functions of management. The various steps involved in the control function, the methods of control, importance of control, and the various functions and techniques of control. So control is mainly concerned with the task ensuring that task is performed with respect within prescribed management standards to achieve organizational objectives. So control is a form of a coach, like in a football match, a coach that is telling the footballers how to uh, uh, follow the tactics that they described in the dressing room. So that's what basically control is. So control is a mechanism that kind of checks whether what is being done is being followed, and try to make sure that we get back on track when we are getting off the path. So control can be comprehensively defined as a function of management that involves measuring and correcting the subordinates' performance of activities to ensure that the organizational plans and objectives are achieved. So that's what basically general control is about. So it is about uh, guiding and ensuring that what we want to achieve, we achieve it. That's why the football and the coach, football match, in game time, when the coach is on the pitch, on the sidelines of the pitch, directing and guiding the footballers what to do and what not to do so that they can win the football match. So a control system is a device or a set of devices to manage, command, direct, or regulate the behavior of other devices or systems. So management control system gather use information to evaluate the information of organizational resources, including human, physical, and financial. So control is about gathering information and then evaluating those information about the resources of the organization, human beings, personnel of the organization, and then the financial also of the organization. Let's look at characteristics of control. Control and planning are closely related. Control and planning are closely related. But when you are planning, it is we expect that you kind of put control while planning, put the control mechanism to the steps that you want to take to achieve your goal. So if you are planning to achieve your party, maximize profit. What control mechanism you need to put in place so that you achieve those the profit maximization target? The control is both an effective process and a system of organization. So the
Yeah.
top
Hello.
brass of the
Please, can
organization.
you all hear
Yes.
Please,
Daniel?
I can't hear anything. I
I
can't
can't
hear.
hear. So please, if Uncle Danny can log out and log in again.
Maybe
Yes.
you can
Okay, give me a
go
minute.
back
I'll
and
get
log
back.
in again.
Let me move to
We,
another place. Oh,
we can't hear.
of the group members with the group members, if anyone on the group is having the script, kindly take over and do that for him. We beg.
Okay, if the network is not good, then the other group, the last group should present it.
Hello.
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 Hello. We are
Yeah, hello.
Here, we are
Hello.
listening. Ah,
Please, can you hear me now?
I hear you. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I've stepped outside. So if some of the noises that you may hear may not necessarily be present. I'm outside my house. Hello. Please, can I
Yeah.
continue?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we are looking at control, and we said I started with the objectives of control. I don't know if you caught me on that. So I'm
yes.
starting all over again. All right. So then I would like to get back to it. So the introduction, I said that control is concerned with task ensuring that what is performed is kept within the prescribed management channels to achieve organization objectives. So control is basically concerned with ensuring that the plans that we set, we follow the plans as we have set them, and then so that we achieve the goals that we have set. That is what basically control is about. But on a broad, comprehensively, it is defined as a function of management that involves measuring, correcting the subordinates' performance of activities to ensure that organizational plans and objectives are achieved. So this one puts it more clearer to say that if we want to achieve, we want to maximize profit, then the subordinates who are implementing the board decisions that have been taken, we check their performances to see whether they are following what we ask them to do, so that we achieve our goal of maximizing our profits. So control system is a device or a set of devices that is used to manage, command, direct, or regulate the behavior of other devices or systems. Other devices or systems. So management control systems gather and use information to evaluate the performance of organizational resources, including human, physical, and financial. And this place, I don't know if you heard me, but I was using the football, the coach on the pitch, on the sidelines of a football pitch, directing, controlling the play through his players to ensure that they score goals to win the football match. So the coach is kind of a control system that is behind the footballers. While they are playing the football, he will be guiding them, checking their behaviors,
checking whether they are following the system that the coach has set in place so that the ball can get to the net of the opponent. That is what control is about. So control is characteristics of control. Control and planning are closely related in the sense that if you are planning to improve the capabilities of your staff, then you must put a control mechanism in place. Said that if you say that you are making training, you are organizing a training session for your staff, you put it in such a way that you ensure that all staff attend the training, and then the required mechanisms to ensure that all staff attend the training. So you must put a control mechanism so that no staff will come with an excuse that is so bizarre that the staff cannot attend the training. Or if you want to increase your profit, then you put steps in place, control mechanisms in place so that your targets of attaining that profit is also achieved. Control is both an executive process and a system of an organization. So it is a system on its own. The control mechanism is a system on its own. It's a process that the organization that is set in place by the board to check every step of activity that is set up in the organization. So from management point of view to the subordinates, everybody is checked. Everybody is checked. And control is also a continuous process. So control does not end. So from the process of planning, immediately we start planning, we have started the control process. Not to make a loss as an organization, not to make a loss, but to maximize profit. Then at the end of the accounting year, when we see whether we go back to the boardroom to check whether we have made profit. If we have not made profit, we put control measures again to ensure that we look at the things that we did that did not make us make profit. We look at the things that we did, things that we could have done to also make us get profit. So control is a cyclical process. Control is also coordinated and integrated in the system. As we have said, it is cyclical. So from one point to the other, it moves in that order. Then control is neither the beginning of the management process, nor is it the end of the function. So control is not the beginning, because you must have an objective to get a target to attain before you look at putting control measures to achieve them. Then it does not end, because control is not the ultimate goal of the organization. It is not the ultimate goal of the organization. It is also dynamic. It is exercised at all levels of management. At every point in time, even the last subordinates also put control measures in place, whether inherent or not. Because, for example, the security man at the gate puts controls in place to ensure that no thief enters the warehouse to go and steal. Put controls at place to ensure that no person enters the premises of the organization without proper processes. Then control is identified with individuals. Yes, it is not performed by it is performed by people in the organization. It's performed by individuals in the organization. So it can be either management or even the security man at the gates or the accountants puts control in place. Everybody that is part of the organization somewhere or somehow puts control in place. Then control is not like interference. Yes. So control does not interfere. It's not an interference. It is a help, a guide. It is a guide to help the organization achieve its targets. To help the organization achieve its targets. Prerequisites. Let's look at prerequisites of a good control system. Control requires planning. Yes. A control technique must be based upon clear and integrated plans. In a way, control is the reverse side of planning. The plans formulated by management become the standards by which desired actions are measured. So by this, what we mean is that control involves planning. So it involves putting steps in place to achieve your objective or your targets of, say, maximizing profit, or say moving into another region to open a new branch. So it is based on plans. So the management must plan that, okay, we want to open a new branch somewhere. If you want to open a new branch somewhere, the steps, the planning is needed. You need to put plans in place. So this is how we'll go about it. We'll go and look for a location. Our plan is to go and look for a location. Our plan is to get a building to rent or buy a building. All of those things must come into place. Then we put control measures in place to ensure that those things are done. So first, before you control can be effective, it requires planning and target set. Then control requires organizational structure. Control requires an organizational structure. And by this, we mean that we need the structures of all the structures of the organization must be in place to ensure for effective control to take place. So the goals, the objectives, and the strategies of an organization that require every person to contribute to their accomplishment and to share responsibilities. So if these structures are in place, then we can put control mechanisms to check whether these goals, these objectives, and strategies are being implemented, are being achieved and implemented as has been set in the structure, in the organizational structure. So we need an organizational structure for the control mechanism to be achieved. Then essential features of a good control system. Essential features of a good control system. And one is the control must reflect the nature and needs of the activity. Yes. So the control must reflect the nature and needs of the activity, the objective of the activity. What does the activity want to achieve? What does the activity that we are taking, we are undertaking? Yeah. Then control should be so designed that its activity, its implementation procedures, and its very purpose become apparent. So become clear. What the control mechanism, the activities, the things to do to achieve these mechanisms should be clear. It should be clear for everybody to see. Then control should report deviations promptly. Yes, this is important. If you don't report that, hey, no, this branch, we are losing customers. We have to report it promptly so that the control mechanism can be initiated. Then effective control systems detect deviations before they occur. Don't take it to the house. Sorry about that. Effective control systems detect deviations before they occur. Yes, if we are putting controls in place, we will see that no, last week, this customer, we lost 3 customers. So we will see that no, there is a trend that is beginning to creep into that branch gradually. And when we do that, then we say that we are having an effective control system. Then control should be objective. Yes, It should not be subjective, so that you go to a branch and you will see that this branch, the branch manager, you don't like the branch manager there. Because of that, you report that there are deviations that is going on in that branch. Or you like the customer, because of that, if there are deviations, you will not report that branch to be having deviations. Ideal control is instantaneous, self-correcting, and forward-looking. Yes, ideal control is instantaneous. So when you see that something is happening, it is reported, and then corrective measures are put in place. And then ideally, the system should be able to correct itself. So if it is a software problem, it should be able to detect that there is a problem going on, a deviation being taken place, and then the deviation should be corrected. Essential features of a good control system. The control system, again, number 7, the control system must have the scope to adapt itself to new developments. Yes. Yes. So you go to a branch and you are selling only gobe because it is a school community. Then you realize that no, these days you need some foreigners are coming around, or you realize that no, this generation, they will like pizzas, they will like some fried rice, they will like continental dishes. Then control should be able to see that no, let's add some other products to our product line. Our product line. It should also reflect the organizational pattern. Yes, it should reflect the organizational pattern, and then the control system should be economical in the sense that the cost of its installation and maintenance is justified by its benefits. Yes. So you can't say that you are correcting and the correction that you are making will lead to us making a loss. Yes. It should not lead to the fact that you are putting control measures in place should not lead to the organization running into a loss, or not achieving its objective. Then strategic point control points out exceptions at critical points. Yes, sometimes there might be some things that you can't do anything about. Yes, so those ones, they become exceptions. The system will allow it to go, especially if it will not lead to the organization running into major economic losses. The modern control system is worker focused rather than work or job oriented. Yes. These days, if you look at, you forget about the people that you are working with, and you always look at the job, and you are interested in your profits. They will work. The people will come work not motivated, not properly, not with the mindset, the mentality to come and work, and they will come to work, and your job as it is, their job will not be done, and it will lead to losses, or not lead to the organization not achieving its objectives. Control should be motivating. It should not be coercive. Yes, we are not these days. If you force people to do things, they will go and do it, but when they do it, you will regret. It will lead to the adage that if you send a child to go and buy something for your legs, it is your legs that will rest. It's only you will see that they are working, but at the end of the day, you see that people are not. They are not working as you want them to work. It's important that staff are motivated to get the job done. Types of control. We have preliminary control, monitoring, and then evaluation control. These are based on these types of control are based on levels of or stages of production. So before production, what kind of control should be in place before production? So if we are producing chocolates, then before production, what preliminary controls mechanisms are to be put in place so that we ensure that we have to check, is our machine in good condition? The products that is brought, the cocoa beans that have been brought, are they in good conditions? Would they give us of high quality cocoa paste before we start them? Then we monitor, examines actual ongoing operations. So whilst the machine starts with, we start inputting the beans into the machines. Then we want to see, is our machines working? Quality control will also be in place to check whether everything that is happening, is in order. Quality control is important. And then we have evaluation or feedback control. Evaluation. Then at the end of the day, we go and check our chocolates when we are done, whether our chocolate is of high quality as we had anticipated. Then types of control. This types of control is based on, it's also, we have strategic control, premise control, implementation control, and then strategic surveillance. So let's see, strategic control. Since strategies are forward-looking and designed to accomplish the objectives in the future, it is necessary to enforce control organizations. It is necessary to enforce control. Organizations enforce strategic control through premise control, implementation control, strategic surveillance, and special alert control. So this type of control is strategic. It is forward-looking. It anticipates that, no, okay, if you don't put this in place, something will happen. Something will happen. So this kind of control puts measures in place in anticipation of something that could have happened. So they put them in place to create an error. So, for example, when you are an error occurs, maybe somebody will it will generate an alarm somewhere. So maybe at the headquarters, an alarm will be generated. Then it will be alert. The headquarters will be alerted that, no, there has been a fraud in this bank account, an account at branch at a Doom branch. So the bank will be alerted. That type of control is a strategic control system. It's a strategic control. Then premise control, it is about systematically and continuous checks whether the premises set during the planning and implementation process are still valid. Yes. So systematically and continuous. This one is systematic and continuous. So this is a step-by-step check whether the premises set during the planning. So whether the reasons why we set the control mechanisms still valid. So as and when we are going, then we'll be checking. No, we said that we wanted to attain a profit of 500% by at the end of the year. If that is the reason why we set these control mechanisms, then as and when we are going in the course of the year, we realize that, no, the way the economy is going, then let's reduce the controls. Oh no, we can even do better. So this premise control checks that it continuously checks the control system or the systems as set in place, the organizational structure that is set in place to achieve that target, to see whether the premise of setting that control to help achieve that target is also relevant as and when the process is ongoing. Then implementation control. It assesses whether the overall strategy results relate to the incremental steps and challenges. It assesses whether the overall strategy results relate to the incremental steps and actions. So this is when this checks the implementations of the activities that will help us achieve our it is the process. This process will look at the gradual changes that happen. So whilst we are implementing, then we ask ourselves, okay, I see. So this thing that we will be assessing whether the strategy that we have set over, this is the overall strategy. So this strategy. So in a football match, you realize that sometimes when they are playing, they will start with 4-4-2. But in the course of the game, then the coach will realize that no, 4-4-2 will not help us win our match. Let's revert to 3-5-2. Then he will go and pack his midfield. He will go and pack his midfield. He will change the entire strategy. Instead of him using the 4-4-2, then he will change the entire strategy to achieve his goal. Then strategic surveillance. It monitors a broad range of internal and external events that are likely to threaten the course of the company's strategy. Now, let's remember that anytime we hear strategic, it means that it is forward-looking. It is forward-looking. So, strategic surveillance will look at it's a broad range of internal and external events that are likely to threaten the course of the company's strategy. So, we'll be looking at both internal structures or environment and our external environment to see things that are going. So they can be looking at inflation. The company can be looking at inflation, could be looking at the lending rates if they may be going for loans. Then they'll be looking at staff motivation internally. They'll be looking at their customers internally, whether their customers satisfied, they are doing things that will satisfy their customers to keep on to get more customers or even keep the customers that they have in place.
Brother Daniel,
Yes, sir.
yes, please sum it up for us by 10:40
I should
so
sum it
that
up. I think I'm going too slow.
yeah,
Okay.
by
Let me look at process by
10:40 so that
sorry.
the last can present
All right.
before
Thank you very much. I'll do just that. I'll do just that. 10:40 is okay. 10:40 is okay. I kind of didn't catch that part. So. All right. So let's look at process of control. Then we have establishment of standards. It is important that we set processes. We have processes of control. So we have establishment of standards, measurement of performance, comparing actual and standard performance, then correction of deviations. Correction of deviations. Correction of deviations. It is important that we put those things in place. Then we have methods of control. Yes, we can set policies to control our targets. Policies can be set. Then job description. When you come, this is what you are doing. That is a control. Quality control of materials. Yes, when the materials come, we go and check. Hey, are these of high material, high quality standards? Then we put budget so that we don't overspend. Then an audit is in place. An audit, and especially an internal audit mechanism is put in place to check. The standard cost analysis is also important. We put standards in place. As for this organization, this is what we do. This is our standard. Yes, our products is of high standard. Our products is of high standard. Then employee performance and evaluation, impact assessments, graphic charts. Let's look at usage of control. Let's look at importance. Importance of control. It's an insurance value, the insurance value of control, yes. This risk of non-conformity of actual performance, yes. It's an insurance. Control is an insurance. It protects the company. It helps the company stay focused to achieve its targets. Basis of future action. Yes. Yes. So if we put control measures in place, we see that, oh, we will see that this we are doing this, we are not making profit. Hey, no. So in future or subsequent indication of managerial weakness. Control helps to keep a check, indication of, yes, it will also show whether the management is weak, the facility of coordination, yes. Are we able to coordinate our structure, our steps, our processes? It's also important. Control will bring all of that out. Then extension of decentralization. Shortcomings, hey, lack of satisfactory standards, yes. A lot, sometimes even your staff will not be satisfied. Sometimes when you are telling people that what they are doing is wrong, and then maybe you yourself, your standards that the company has set in place, it will bring some frictions, imperfections in measurements, limitations of corrective action, tools of control. I think that when I'm done with this, we can, yes, that's the last part. All right, so program evaluation and review technique. This is a network model. This network model, they are visual aids that may be used to monitor and control activities. They are especially suited for disaster relief programs, yes. And a clear example is when somebody is mopping and they put the cone to say that wet floor, or you go to a place and you see a fire, no smoking signal, or a fire danger zone. Control ratios, functional task analysis, and then technique. So basically, control is about, I think my time is almost over. Okay, so basically, control is about putting plans in place and using those plans and ensuring that those plans are achieved. So control works hand in hand with planning, and control is about helps the organization to put the plans into action and then achieve the targets of the plans that were set. Thank you very much. Mr. Adela, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is any additional question?
Hey, please, additions, so put additions on board. Where are my group members? Additions. Hey.
They said you've done it all.
Hey, there you. Sorry?
You wanted to say something?
No, please.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you. The last group. The last group is the leader here or is any member of the group here?
Yeah, group 3, we are here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Please present for us.
So we are presenting on motivating employee. So we started by explaining what motivation is. So we can say that motivation is a force that causes an individual to behave a specific way. So after that, we look at the various types of motivation or various theories of motivation. One, Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs theories. SBU205D theory and McLean acquired need theories. So we start by Maslow hierarchy of needs. So we can say that Maslow hierarchy of needs is a motivation theory developed by Abraham Maslow. It explains that human needs are arranged in a hierarchy order from basic needs to higher psychological needs. According to Maslow, a lower need must be reasonably satisfied before a higher level need becomes a stronger motivator. So we are starting with physiological needs. So these are basic survival needs of women. It's a basic survival needs of human being. Example, salary or wages, food and water, shelter, rest and break. If employees are not paid adequately or cannot meet their basic living needs, they will not be motivated by higher level incentives, such as recognition or promotion. The second need is safety needs. Once physiological needs are met, individuals seek safety and protection. Example, job security, safe and healthy working condition, medical insurance, protection from unfair treatment. Employees who feel unsafe or fear losing their jobs will focus more on security than on performance or creativity. The third need is social needs or belongingness needs. At this level, individual decide social interaction or relationship. Example, friendship with colleagues, teamwork, good communication. A supportive work environment where employees feel accepted, increase cooperation and morale. The fourth needs, esteem needs. Esteem needs relate to self-respect and respect from others. Example, recognition and praises, promotions, job title and status, awards and appreciation. When esteem needs are met, employees feel confident, valued, and motivated to perform better. The last one, self-actualization needs. This is the highest of Maslow hierarchy. It involves achieving one's fullest potential. Example, opportunities for personal growth, challenging and meaningful work, creativity and innovation. At this level, employees are motivated by fulfillment rather than money and status. So the second theory is Herzberg two-factor theories. Herzberg two-factor theories explain that two different things affect how employees feel about their jobs. These are called hygiene and motivators. So hygiene factor are basic jobs condition. They do not make employees highly motivated, but if they are missing, employees become unhappy. If they are missing, employees become unhappy. Example, salary, company rules and policy, supervision by managers, working condition, job security. If these factors are poor or missing, employees will complain and feel dissatisfied. If they are present, employees feel okay, but not necessarily motivated to work harder. The second point, motivator. Motivators are related to work itself and personal growth. These factors increase job satisfaction and motivation. Example, achievement, recognition, promotion, and career growth. When motivators are present, employees feel happy, proud, and motivated. So let's move on to the third theories. So the third theory is McClellan theory of needs. McClellan identified three key needs: need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. Employees are motivated differently depending on which need is dominant. So, process theory of motivation. Process theory of motivation. Variant expectancy theory. Motivation depends on expectancy. Believe that effort leads to performance. 2. Instrumentality. Believe that performance leads to rewards. So, sorry, I'm coming. So, the expectancy theory, we introduce this theory of motivation. The expectancy theory says that an employee will be motivated to extend a higher level of effort when he or she believes that the effort will lead to a good performance appraisal. 2. A good appraisal will lead to organization reward. The organization reward will lead to satisfying his or her personal goal. So reinforcement theory. This is another theory of behaviorists. Reinforcement theory. So the reinforcement theory based on EL, law of effort. simply look at the relationship between behavior and its consequence. It includes the following techniques: positive reinforcement, avoidance, and punishment. So positive reinforcements reward desired behavior. A positive reinforcement reward a desirable behavior. So avoidance is an attempt to show an employee what the consequence of improper behavior is. If the employee does not engage in improper behavior, he or she will not experience the consequence. 3. Extension. 3. Extension is ignoring the behavior of subordinates and not providing either positive or negative reinforcement. The last one, punishment. It is an attempt to decrease the likelihood of a behavior reoccurring by applying negative consequences. So, motivation strategies. We have empowering employees. We are providing an effective reward system, redesigning job, creating flexibility. So let's look at empowering employee. Empowerment occurs when individuals in an organization are given autonomy, authority, trust, and encouragement to establish a task. To empower and to change some of the old bureaucratic ideas, managers are promoting cooperative
Mr. Daniel, it seems Mr. Prince Boachi just raised the hand, so maybe watch out for questions too. Maybe he wants to say something.
Okay.
Please, before Prince says anything, thank you very much. And I hope I can be heard.
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yes, thank you. This class, you are serious. You're so serious. And that is very good. I'm happy about the fact that you guys take this seriously. Okay, I followed for a while and I've seen that you guys are serious. So just kindly note that we are with you in these processes. And may I say that at least I think with time, when I get to know from Prof where the areas are better, you get in touch with me when it's nearing the quiz time. Then I'm able to share with Cogents with you the areas. Okay. And then you can also prepare towards that. But otherwise, you guys are doing well. I'm also in my master's class and I joined and I just knew that you guys are really well. So I wish you guys well. Okay. I'm leaving to my master's class. Thank you. So, and Beta, thank you for
Thank
organizing the
you.
class.
Thank you.
Like, I'm so grateful, Beta. Okay. All right. All the best. Now, Prince, you may
Thank
ask your
you.
question. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc.
Prince, we are waiting for your question.
Oh, please carry on. I don't have any question.
Okay. So we are on empowering employees. To empower or change some of the old bureaucratic ideas, managers are promoting cooperative entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship encourages employees to pursue new ideas and give them the authority to promote those ideas. Entrepreneurship is not for the timid. because old structures and process are turned upside down. So let's move on to providing an effective reward system. Providing an effective reward system. A reward is a work output of positive value to the individual. People receive reward in one of the following two ways: intrinsic reward and extrinsic reward. So intrinsic reward are administered. Think of the natural high a person may experience after completing a job. That person feels good because he has a feeling of competency, personal development, and self-control over her work. So let's look at the extrinsic reward. They are externally administered. They are value outcome given to someone by another person, typically a superior or higher level manager. So redeeming jobs is one of the motivation strategies. So job redesign attempts may include the following: job enlargement. One, job enlargement often refers to a horizontal job loading. Job enlargement increases the variety of tasks or job included. Two, job rotation. This practice assign people to different jobs or tasks to different people temporarily. Job Third one, job enrichment, also called vertical job loading. This application include not only an increased variety of tasks, but also provide an employee with more responsibility and authority. The last one, creating flexibility. Creating flexibility is the last motivational strategies. Flex time permits employees to set or control their work hours. It's one way that organizations are accommodating their employees' needs. Some options are: one, a complex work week. It's a form of flex time that allows a full-time job to be completed less than the standard 40 hours or 5 days work. Two, job sharing or training. Okay, when one full-time job is split between two or more persons. Last one, telecommunicating, sometimes called flexi place, is a work arrangement that allows at least a portion of scheduled work hour to be completed outside the office with work at home as one of the options. And that's the end of our presentation.
Thank you. Please, any additional questions? Yeah, this damage.
Yeah.
Please, I was distracted somewhere along the line, so I don't know whether the leader talk about the motivation theory or that focus on behavior and the process theory. That's the equity, expectancy, the reinforcement, and the goal setting theory. So I didn't hear that part.
There is a group leader. Please answer the question.
Yes, I talk about it.
Okay.
Please, any other?
Yes, to me, others are saying that with the slides, if you can share them so that we'll all have a fair idea of what is into it for as reference on the various topics. So, Bilal, if you can share that with us, if you can get it from the group leaders and then.
It's the recording that we need, because they are all following the slide given by the doc. So if we
I
can
think
get
that's
the
good.
recording, I think that will help better.
It's being recorded, so it will be sent to the group
Then,
as it's already done. Okay. In the absence of any additional submission.
Please, you should give us expected questions.
We said, Mr. Baba.
Questions to solve.
please, it seems that our next lecture will not come on. We'll be having it on the 14th.
Yes,
So we are free today.
the next lecture will be.
Sorry?
Free, say,
Yes,
Dilali, I didn't
yeah,
get you.
yeah, I said the quantitative method, the lecture will not come. It will be held on Wednesday.
Meaning we are free today. Thank you.
Please respond to my request. Any questions available?
Was another question.
I said any question available so that you can share.
Yes, he said, please Rebecca to contact me for maybe yes. Daniel.
Hello.
said a lot, we are not hearing you.
Please.
Yes, now. Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
hello, Delali.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Not that well.
Please, can we kindly look at the financial reporting? When are we looking at it?
Yeah, financial reporting, we are not meeting. We are meeting Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Financial
okay.
reporting is tomorrow, and we will not have it tomorrow, so we are meeting Tuesday.
But I wish we can have some discussion on what we've done so far, if possible.
Okay, then let's do the financial reporting. Like the management students are not doing financial reporting, so that one is for only accounting. So anything that you have, you can put it in the group for us to discuss about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when is that?
When is?
You mean this platform?
You said?
You mean I can put it in this platform?
Our the platform you have for only accounting students.
The WhatsApp group or?
Yeah, the WhatsApp group.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I want to use this opportunity to thank all of us. We've all done well. We've done a yeoman's job. The group leaders, our reps. God bless you all. We've all done well.
Bless you
Amen.
too.
May we continue to enjoy the rest of the week. Well done, yes. Well done.
Amen.
We pray that everything will go on well for us.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Any question, you put them on the platform for us to look through.
We'll do exactly that.
Okay.
We'll do exactly. And some of you are not, you don't like visiting your your pages. Sometimes we put things there and yet we don't get to hear anything. So please, we are begging you. Once in a while, just flash. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Welcome. Bye. Have a nice day.
And our assignments, let's try and do them.
Yeah.
But this in quantitative method, he said he will give us an email. He will send the email and we'll put the assignments there. So we'll complete it to you guys later.
Is it a questionnaire? Okay.
Yes, please. You send it directly to his email.
We need more information. So that we can answer any more information.
Not for class, not the Gmail. About now, for I don't know. Okay, I know what it is. Gmail is no, I'm not that much Gmail. No, we was one and no phone assets. Oh, sign it. Verify on Guida. On this event, at your house. Yes. That's okay. Go on, for time from where for save. No, okay. No, we got a damage to the dogs now, 46 dogs now, and let's go down. We won't form. Go down. Form. What it. The question is, there's any more happening. Maybe they had the end. I want to make this. I was what is that? I want to I say, I know the questions, but that was me. I will not be there. We have a send form, never share my that's not never share. The chairman now, or I don't be one who responsible for direct. Now, didn't we all research them now? Okay, there's any mouth. Only the answer is in ABC.
especially the
Go
news
or
about
you have to pay.
so the short answers.
Okay. So you see, while login, okay.
Okay, so you are a good German mind. The internet is. You see, let me say, young couple inquiry numbers. Don't put me check on. It's elected. Mr. Kawaii.
So that I didn't. Yeah.
Let me select it in the Kawaii. Okay, you for me to the copy inquiry letter. No, I'm Miss Roman said, I am an pushing one because I'm in the website and I'm like, I open it now. You put your things. Inquiry. I'm the person who back. Who's not longer? Yeah. I'll be okay.
So if you look up a map for it,
Hey, easy. Papa, yo. My mask, not any. Yeah. It's a copy of the question about car. The one, no year assessment one. No other shall say. The assessment one. It's a when a small. But Hana comes a Hana. Yenina. Oh, why are you? Nina. See, single space. That way spacing. Oh, yeah. I'm one. Hana. No, look at the light in the light in the car. In the car. The end of one. Only was in this name. And the package has been said. Nina. It's a complete and a good. Be computing. Ina person. A copy, we are company. Again, you know, and the poison nation is signature. You now, I'm sure me and I the line or no one. Just would but I could be a on the line. They just one space. And hey, complaints about it. It's a baby we need to because it's in now for sure. And that will be